I see a title like King's Knight, and I see it's published by Square, the company responsible for Final Fantasy, and I see a cover with a sword-wielding knight, potentially a distressed damsel of sorts, and a giant green dragon in the background, I think RPG, right? Even by the cover alone, this is definitely an RPG. Probably turn-based. I'm going to be the knight, and I'm going to roam the countryside and slay a few beasts and protect my kingdom from an impending evil force bent on destruction. We've seen it 100 times. Turns out, nah, this is a shooter. A vertically scrolling shooter. It didn't start out on the NES either. It was originally developed for the MSX in 1986 and came to America 3 years later on the old NES. Notably, the music in this one is credited to Nobuo Uematsu, who you may recognize as the esteemed composer of Final Fantasy soundtracks. Let's see what's up with King's Knight on the NES. Once you get past the initial shock that this is a shooter, you quickly realize it's not just any shooter. Sure, you go vertically up the screen firing on enemies and trying not to be touched by one of their projectiles, but you can also destroy the environment with your shots, and in fact, you need to do this to uncover power-ups and the items you'll need for beating the game. The game consists of 5 total stages. In the first 4 stages, you play as a different character that has its own attack, speed, and defense stats. So in the first stage, you play as that knight you saw on the cover. His name is Rayjack, an odd combination of 2 first names, and he's fairly strong and quick and shoots, I don't know, something from his sword. All of these arrows on the ground directly impact the health bar of your character. Up is good and gives more health, down is bad and gives no bueno health. Spritzed in are other icons you need to hunt and pick up. What you're doing here is collecting 4 elements that will form your magic spells that you will use in the 5th and final stage, but I'll get to that. So as you pulverize enemies in mountains and trees and everything else, you're trying to uncover these 4 elements. Element A looks like a piece of the Triforce. Element B is 2 vertical lines, Element C is a reverse chevron, and Element D is a sun shape. To find these, you'll need to scour the levels, and sometimes you might pick them up and not realize it. Sometimes you won't find them at all unless you uncover a staircase leading to a hidden cave and search down there, and sometimes you'll finish the stage without finding them, meaning you'll need to replay that stage. It's important to find these elements because it equips you to be strong enough to take on the last stage, but you aren't required to find everything. At the end of the level, there's an indication of which of the elements you found as shown by these stars. If you have all 4, that's great. If you missed one, you can select to repeat the character's level to find it, but you have to find all 4 again, not just that one you missed. So I mentioned you start as Rayjack. In Stage 2, you play as the Wizard, who has a magic attack and can jump higher. Jumping is kind of important. There are opportunities where you can jump to avoid the power downs or jump to a higher level of elevation, and it's worth noting that you can increase the power of your attack, your jump ability, your defense, and your speed by finding these power-ups as well. You always feel slow and underpowered at the start, but with these power-ups, things do get a little bit better. For example, an increased attack power lets you wipe out the environment more easily in the hunt for those elements hidden within. In Stage 3, you are Barusa, the monster. This is the dragon thing on the cover you probably thought you'd be fighting in this game, but nope, he's your buddy. He breathes fire and has a strong defense, but is a little slow. And in Stage 4, you are a thief named Toby, who throws daggers and is really quick, but goes down easily. After you complete the first 4 levels and die in the 5th and final stage, inevitably, you have the choice of taking on that final stage again or going back through one of the character's specific stages to find all those elements. It is important to have all the elements, apparently, because even with only missing one element from one of my characters, I found the final stage nearly impossible. In the final stage, the whole crew comes together. Now you take up more space on the screen so you're easier to hit, and of course there are more enemies and they're all more stubborn than the ones you've encountered before. It's super tough. What can help is if you collected all those elements and have each character's magic spell. According to the manual, the wizard spell defeats water enemies, the thief's spell destroys monoliths, the dragon's changes him into a better dragon, I think, and Rayjack turns into a winged horse. A winged horse. That basically says nothing about how these will become helpful or useful in that final stage, so good luck. And there are some more catches here. You cannot select which character you are on your own in that final stage. You have to step on these directional arrows you come across to rotate your party. So you'll need to strategically plan for what's coming and have the right character handy, meaning this final level is going to require lots of trial and error no matter what. You can only use the spell of each character once in the level, so it's important to know which of the spells are meant for which part of the level. There's no way around it. This is a very difficult part of the game, and quite an escalation from those first 4 stages, which are pretty fun all said, thanks to the variety of characters, the environments, and the concept of just blowing everything to bits while you find what you need. The final stage is more strategy and survival, and like I said, you'll have to replay it over and over and make a little more progress each time to get through. At least there's a good soundtrack to keep you company. In all, King's Knight is worth a shot if you enjoy shooters and want to try something a little bit different. It does work a little bit like an RPG in some ways, and it's a concept that is just so different from most other games on the system. I personally found the final stage off-puttingly difficult, but it's not completely insurmountable if you have patience, something NES gamers are known for anyway. A remake called King's Knight Wrath of the Dark Dragon came to mobile platforms in September of 2017 and was basically shut down 9 months later and pulled from app stores completely by early 2019, so can't play that one. Well, that's going to do it for King's Knight on the NES. As always, give your kids multiple first names for fun, and thanks for watching.